Do you all remember a number of years ago when the world was supposed to end? Remember the year 1999, when all we heard about was the impending crisis with the year 2000? All the computers were going to crash, and there was going to be complete chaos. There would be mass hysteria and riots because the world was going to shut down. People were stockpiling food, water, and other necessities, and even guns and ammunition. Many people were nervous, many people were anxious, and many people were near the point of hysteria. Even the most logical and even-tempered of persons were worried, if for no other reason than they were worried about how other people were going to react. I myself was a little bit worried, simply because I did not know what was going to happen. It was fear of the unknown. Now, if you do remember all of that hysteria leading up to the year 2000, then you probably also remember that there were a number of Christians who felt that the year 2000 was going to be the end of the world, and that Jesus was going to return to earth in the year 2000. All over religious broadcasting, there were shows about how all of the signs pointed to the fact that Jesus was now on his way back. Pastors and evangelists were telling us that all of the prophecies in the book of Revelation were finally being fulfilled. And a lot of people believed them, and a lot of people were afraid. Obviously, these people had not heard the words of Jesus that we just heard in today's gospel reading, which say, and I quote, "At an hour you do not expect, the Son of Man will come." Now, it seems to me that if they would have really believed what Jesus said, then there would not have been all of that hysteria years ago when people felt that Jesus was due at any minute. And if the world would still believe what Jesus says in today's gospel reading, then we would not have to watch and listen to and be nauseated by those religious programs in which they constantly tell us that the end times are here. Because the simple fact of the matter is this: we do not know when Jesus will return. Let me repeat that. We do not know when Jesus will return to earth in all of his glory. And Jesus is pretty clear when he says that it will be at a time when we do not expect it. All that we do know as a church is that he will come again. Now, with that being said, this does not mean that we should not be concerned about Jesus coming again. Since it could happen at any time, we should always be ready for it. Just like Jesus tells us in the gospel reading today, we should always be prepared for his second coming, simply because we do not know when it'll be. So how do we stay in a constant state of preparation for the second coming of Christ? Well, we prepare ourselves by following the teachings of the church. Jesus gave us the beautiful gift of his Catholic Church here on earth so that we will have the means at our disposal to know what Jesus wants of us and instructions on how to follow through with his desires. In other words, the church teaches us the truth of Jesus Christ and how to live it out. Jesus Christ is alive in the church, and Jesus is still speaking to us and teaching us and showing us how to live through the church. If we are faithful to the church, then we will be close to Christ. But if we choose not to follow the church, then we are choosing to be apart from Christ. The church and Christ are inseparable. If we separate from the church, we separate from Christ. Now, this sounds easy, doesn't it? It sounds easy. Simply follow the teachings of the church. But most of us know from our own experience that this is difficult to do. It is not easy. It is not easy being good and faithful followers of Jesus Christ. And why is that? Because of our fallen and sinful human nature. Our human nature that is in fact prone to sin. We know what is good for us, yet we do not do it. And in fact, we do what we know is bad for us. We know that the church teaches us all of the truths of Jesus Christ, yet we all choose to not follow the church in all matters and at all times. The church will guide us along the path toward the kingdom of heaven. If we stay with the church, then we should not fear the second coming of Christ. If we stay with the church, then we will be prepared for Jesus' second coming in glory. But what if the second coming of Christ does not happen in our lifetimes? It is very possible, if not probable, that Jesus may not return to earth while we are still alive. Even so, the fact remains that Jesus will still come for us. Jesus will come for each and every one of us when we die. As long as Jesus does not come in glory during our lifetime, then all of us will die. Now, isn't that a nice thought on this beautiful morning? We will all die. But it's true. It is true. We will die. And when we die, Jesus will come for us. And when Jesus does come for us, he will judge us. And we will be judged on how well we had faith in Jesus, how much we trusted in him, and how much we followed his commands that come to us in and through his church. And like the gospel reading today says, we had better be prepared for this judgment. My dear friends, each and every one of us here this morning will experience the coming of Jesus Christ. Either we will see the glory of Christ's second coming to earth, or Christ will come for us at the time of our death. But no matter how we experience the coming of Christ, we must be prepared. Being prepared takes a lot of faith in both our Savior Jesus Christ and in his church. Being prepared takes a lot of prayer and asking God for the strength to do his will. Being prepared takes a lot of effort on our part to carry out the will of God by following all of the teachings of his holy Catholic Church. So the question we must ask ourselves this morning is this: will we be prepared when Jesus Christ comes for us? And may God bless you.